Hello, and welcome to another episode of Leader Generation brought to you by ModUp. I'm your host, Tessa Burg, and today I'm excited to be joined by Wandrille Leroy. He is leading the Scibids AI project at DoubleVerify at a time when there's a lot of uncertainty about the accuracy of data, and marketers are wanting to be able to measure what they're really getting for their media buys. The Scibids AI project is incredibly important. Wandrille, thanks so much for joining us. I'm excited to jump into this conversation.
Hi, Tessa. It's very nice for you to host me today.
So before we learn more about what you're working on and leading, tell us a little bit about yourself and your journey to Scibids and then now at DoubleVerify.
Yeah, thanks for that. So basically, I joined DoubleVerify through the acquisition of Scibids. Scibids is a project that was inceptioned in 2016. I joined them in 2017. We were five of us at the beginning, so very small project. Quite a journey. We grew the business and managed to become attractive enough for a company like DoubleVerify to make the great acquisition they made in the Scibids technology. I think it's a pledge to the strategic vision of DoubleVerify to use AI to activate some of those their assets. But I'm sure we're going to cover those topics in the future of this conversation. Thank you for having me, Tessa.
Yeah, and DoubleVerify has always been steeped in being an advocate for advertisers and marketers, making sure that companies can keep their brands safe, they know where they're showing up. Tell us a little bit about how Scibids adds to that mission and vision and the role that Scibids technology is playing within the DoubleVerify environment.
Yeah, so Scibids technology is an AI for media buying. So we operate on top of the leading buying platform. Think DV360, Trade Desk, Meta, Google Ads, those players, and we enable advertisers to make sure that the way their media is invested reflects what matters to them. So they are able with Scibids to customize the outcome, make sure that their media is geared towards those KPIs that matters to them and control that. So they understand exactly what is the ad decisioning process. They can put their own threshold, limits, constraints of delivery, and all that is delivered automatically by Scibids on those platforms. It fits pretty well inside the DoubleVerify ecosystem. DoubleVerify is known for fraud prevention and for measurement. Those are basically two massive amounts of data sets, two huge data sets that DoubleVerify offers to marketers. They activated with those two first use cases. With Scibids, you can actually activate the same data but at a wider scale to basically use measurement almost as a learning signal, if that's interesting, or simply to automate attention optimization. So that's one of the first things we've done with DoubleVerify is to make sure that we could stitchlessly attach their assets to our capacity and deliver improved outcomes for the advertisers. With the recent acquisition of Rockerbox by DoubleVerify, it's a very natural segue, being able to activate the Rockerbox measurements basically directly inside with the Scibids AI for the benefit of the advertisers.
Yeah, and I love how you touched on a couple of things that I think are really important for marketers to embrace now. One is that AI can start to show you insights and patterns that you may have not been able to uncover yourself. Like when you said Scibids sort of gives them that insight of what's going to work and ensures that they are able to meet their goals while still having control. That is very reassuring, especially when at a time the dark side of AI is a complete reality, that AI has accelerated fraud, has accelerated the use of bots and fraudulent schemes within the advertising landscape. And I feel like when these platforms don't make data as visible and there isn't as much transparency, that's when it's hard to trust if your advertising really reached the right person And then it makes it even harder to measure how effective it is, and for marketers to continue to try and evolve their own strategies and plans.
Yeah, so Tessa, you've touched upon a word which I think is core to the values of DoubleVerify. It's trust. The market needs third parties to make sure that the investment of advertisers is protected and delivered in the proper manner. So we're actually very well aligned with this mission delivered by this mission of DV. Um, if we try to be a bit more specific, so DV will protect advertisers or give at least the opportunity to advertisers to increase their control, increase their grasp on what is the definition for fraud. One advertiser might consider that a website made for advertising is an absolute no-go. Another one might consider that it's okay-ish. Another one would say, yes, absolutely, I don't care. This, is not a decision for DoubleVerify to take. It's a decision for the advertiser to take. And one of the important elements that we offer to the market is this enhanced control and transparency on what happens. So, how does this translate to Scibids? Scibids, we operate more on the decisioning part. Okay, should I buy this impression? Yes or no? And the fact you control that also is really important. You have a market which is very publisher driven. Basically most of the market, perhaps 50% of the US market is split between Meta and Google. So you need to have a third party, a trusted third party, to be there and ensure that your interests as an advertiser are well respected. This is also one of the elements that Scibids and DoubleVerify can definitely help with.
So you mentioned obviously it is a very publisher-driven market. Are there other channels that Scibids works across? You mentioned Meta being very big. I know that in our B2B space, there's a lot of the smaller publishers, a lot of networks, CTV. What is the reach and extent into the platforms that Scibids can see and
Yeah.
help empower marketers?
So we've started with programmatic. So we've started with Xandr, so AppNexus back in the day. I think it was leading innovation by having new features. At the moment, it was called the AppNexus programmable bidder. So we could put some pieces of code in there. So it was really interesting to do. So we've started with programmatic. So yeah, Xandr, Trade Desk, DV360, and the B2B customers that we have operate mostly in this space. A lot of B2B operate in DV360 or Trade Desk, and we are expanding on other platforms. So Meta and Google Ads are newer platforms. We're going to be releasing those in the upcoming weeks. It's a new capacity that we have been proving for the last 6 months, I would say. And then our goal is obviously not to stop there. We can address CTV through legacy or classic DSP platforms, but in the future, what else can we do? Can we integrate with new medias or out of home medias, whatever? Everything that can be bought in a digital manner is something that we would eventually be interested in offering our capacities on. We definitely can grow and offer bigger opportunities to our customers.
So when customers pair the Scibids AI project and DoubleVerify with their Trade Desk or DV360 buys, what have been some of the outcomes? Like, they're better able to measure ROI? Are they better able to see maybe where fraud is happening or divert media buys to be more productive?
So the Scibids angle is really around driving outcomes. So we want to understand from the advertiser, from the agency, what success looks like, how it's defined, and this is going to be the North Star of our AI to optimize. So you've touched upon fraud. If a customer wants to use another vendor for fraud, that's not we don't care. As Scibids, we don't care. We prefer when it's DV, but we don't care. If it's another one, it doesn't have an impact for us, and we do not say to the advertiser how they should measure themselves. Okay, so we're not telling you, hey, Mr. Advertiser, you should measure yourself this way. We're not being yeah, it's not our expertise and it's not our role. Our role is to understand what matters to the advertisers and deliver upon that. So this is what we do. For instance, with CPG. So in the CPG space, we see a lot of advertisers looking at their own definition of quality. So they design an index, their own index that factors in perhaps fraud rate, frequency elements, the cost of an impression, some attention metrics, whatever, they're gonna craft their own index, and this is something which is their expertise. It reflects what matters to them really. Scibids will come in there, understand how it's built, and maximize the value of this index, respecting other constraints like delivery constraints or minimum or maximum CPMs that you may have, whatever you have as a constraints. Those are elements that will then factor in to make sure that again the advertiser can train the AI, train Scibids in the direction that it matters to him. So one of the analogy that we were using is you want to train your own dog, so you have to throw the ball to say to the dog, this is the one you want to get. Same for Scibids. You need to show us what is the direction, what is the asset that you want to go after, so we can go after it. So train us, train Scibids, and we'll deliver good results for you. We typically see efficiencies improvements around 20, 30, 40%, depending of different parameters. I think that's last element is that we know where we perform. That's something which is really important, and I think interesting is that we know where Scibids can have an impact. So when we start working with our advertisers, so there are a couple of technical steps to activate Scibids, but before you activate Scibids, actually, before you press on the play button, we're going to tell you, okay, we believe that this is the world where Scibids can have an impact. This is the territory where we're going to have an impact, and this is the world where, you know what, not our A game. So let's not focus on that, but let's focus on those places where Scibids can have a positive ROI.
You've said a lot of things that marketers like to hear. You're driving towards outcomes. You're able to measure 20 to 30%, better performance. That is very impactful. Being able to be in spaces where they're successful. At the same time, I think some people might be sitting back and being like, well, I've been in media for 2 decades and I've been using automated bidding, or I'm the one setting how much we should spend by channel. How does the Scibids AI and the algorithms powering it compare to traditional bidding or automated bidding strategies and tools?
So there are two main components to what we call the business as usual element. There is the trader's expertise. So what people know works, this is extremely valuable for our product. The fact you can pre-level the game field, so the AI can then run on top of it is something which is invaluable. So all expert traders actually recognize that Scibids is a tool that enables them to go further. So it will increase the number of combinations that they can test, they can evaluate and stuff. So it's actually a pretty powerful asset for them to get to the next level. And most of the advanced buyers that we work with recognize that, and they appreciate it for its value. So that's one big stuff. And the second one is people could say that DSPs, buying platforms, already have advanced tools to do bidding optimization, and that's true. That's 100% accurate. I think that those are some of the best platform and have the best capacity when it comes to designing what is the potential cost of an impression. You cannot beat Trade Desk to the cost definition. They have access to the full bidding landscape. They know exactly how much it's gonna cost at the end of the day. Where I think we complement a lot their product, and it's the same for DV360 among others, is that we have a very clear understanding of what's the expected outcome, what's the value expected by the advertiser. It translates in very specific elements, but we connect to the third-party entity that measures the KPI for an advertiser. Just by doing that, I mean, Trade Desk is not going to connect with all of them and build specific products to optimize to all of those features. It's too tedious. Scibids, this is what we do. We go in there, we do this integration, we understand what's the expected outcome of what the customer wants. And what does it mean? It means that you get actually a great combination of value that Scibids will calculate. Scibids will tell you this is the expected value, this is the expected outcome of an impression of a context, and the cost. And this will come from the DSP. So we will use those very advanced features from the DSP to do this cost versus value framework and maximize, try to steer the investment as much in the not too high, not too expensive, so lower cost, higher value kind of frame. My answer, in a nutshell, to your question would be we love expertise from traders. They help our product learn faster and be guided directly in the good direction. It helps. We basically help traders go to the next level in terms of performance, and we build on top of the existing products delivered by the buying platforms. So we use them, and they're better than us at some stuff. So we identify. I mean, it's not even better than us. They're unbeatable at some elements. So we identify those areas where we just don't want to compete with them, and try to add on this to combine both worlds basically.
This reminds me of a paper I read probably like 15 years ago, maybe longer, called Innovate to the Adjacent. And it was and you said something before the call about your perspective on innovation and where it is today. But I love that instead of introducing just a competitive product and spinning up something that, for the sake of just calling it AI, you've really created something that evolves what people are able to do when an adjacent innovation gives them more control, more visibility, and a space for their expertise, and translates into results that reflect that pairing of, hey, let's connect into and be that third-party piece validation that allows you to determine the outcomes, that allows us to verify that where you're spending money is aligned to your outcomes. And I think, when we talk about the level of investment, that makes it easy to say yes as a marketer, because I'm already investing in all this media. So sometimes when I hear like, well, you should also use this tool or that tool, I'm like, oh, that's more strain on my budget. But in this case, I mean, Scibids isn't free, but it is something that is increasing the measurement. So you're still going to be able to see the ROI of using this adjacent innovation in combination with the platforms that are already working well for you, but it's custom to you. It's more accurate. It gives you more control and elevates your expertise in that area and with your clients.
Yeah. So in terms of costing, Scibids, of course, we charge for a service. The way I usually tend to present it is when you're driving your car, you can put 10 gallons, and that's the maximum capacity of your fuel tank, But if tomorrow you don't put 10 gallons, but you put 9 gallons, and you put 1 extra gallon of Scibids or whatever you wanna call it, and you can go 30%, 40% further with the same volume, with the same tank, with the same budget. Sounds like almost a no-brainer. So it's really the ability that we offer to advertisers to have more out of the same budget. And I think it's something that most of our customers recognize, is that Scibids is not a cost. It's ROI positive, obviously, and they almost don't see the cost of it, because it's directly inside the media buckets that they have designed.
I love that analogy. That was perfect. And DoubleVerify recently made another acquisition that feels like an ROI positive and very in line with being a complement to Scibids, and that's Rockerbox. Can you tell us a little bit about what that acquisition means to the DoubleVerify suite of solutions?
Yeah, well, first of all, Rockerbox is a wonderful company. We've had the chance to operate jointly on a couple of customers before the acquisition, so we can see what's the value they add and how vetted they are by their customers. I think it's a wonderful acquisition for DoubleVerify, and the way I almost see it is um, the acquisition of Scibids was really to create an engine on which DoubleVerify could build and on which DoubleVerify over which DoubleVerify could have some building blocks. And Rockerbox is a pledge to that because Rockerbox does measurements. It doesn't do activation. Scibids will use the measurements delivered by Rockerbox to do this automated optimization in platforms. So the activation, if you want, of the Rockbox data, it becomes very natural, stitchless with Scibids technology. I'm not saying that we don't need to build the good pipes and make sure that everything works well. Of course, there is some engineering work that we need to put in there, but we'll do it, very happily because we know that by doing so, we're offering to all Rockerbox customers an opportunity to improve the ROAS measured by Rockerbox, and we're offering the market an end-to-end solution to that will cover measurements and cover the optimization. What I like to say is that uh, measurement is exciting at the beginning, but if you're not able to show progress on a measure, on a KPI, it becomes this annoying news of each of the QBRs where you speak about this KPI. Okay, so what do we do? How do we do to improve it and stuff? And if you tune it and adjust it marginally, well, it's limited and it becomes more of yeah, a problem than the good news. And so what I usually say is that we try to make those KPIs a good news again by showing this green arrow that everybody loves that goes up and to the right.
Mhm. I love that. So when we think about where uh, Scibids, Rockerbox, and the combination of DoubleVerify are going, what are you most excited about coming up, like as we approach the end of 2025 and even look ahead into 2026? What opportunities will marketers have when they engage with the DoubleVerify company?
So I think we've covered quickly on it a bit earlier in this conversation, but we are in a very publisher-driven market. So each publisher will operate as a walled garden. This is how they are named in market, and they will basically limit the volume of data that you can have and exploit outside of it. That's their game, and that's very fair game. I think that the future with the Rockerbox acquisition, with Scibids capabilities and stuff, is going to be to create a layer, if you will, on top of those different verticals to have an holistic buying strategy and not limit yourself to optimizing it channels per channel. So what I'm very excited about is to offer this end-to-end solution across many different channels with a holistic view. So not being limited, channel per channel. And this was the initial vision of Scibids. We always said to the market we are going to start with programmatic, but we're going to expand to digital. And our final goal is to offer an AI that can help advertisers to dynamically optimize their media buying strategies across all the channels that they decide to activate. So social, programmatic, CTV, you name it. The road is still a bit long, but it's definitely something which is pretty exciting. And I believe that now that we are DoubleVerify, we basically have two big opportunities. One, we don't have the stress of life and death a startup can have. So this
Yeah.
is behind us, and gives you some comfort to innovate in a good way. And two, it also gives us access to the biggest advertisers in the world. So the biggest advertisers work with DoubleVerify. And now we have an opportunity to co-build with them something that can impact their business and impact the market.
Yeah, and I think the fact that you started in programmatic and you already have that tremendous reach and you are able to show results and better return with the same budget is really powerful. And knowing that in the future, visibility, transparency in those walled gardens is only going to go down. Like that's you
I
having.
hope not. I hope that they will still be open and keep on being transparent as possible. But you might be right. We don't know, and that's this is going to be a big challenge for advertisers also to keep on having control and understanding of what happens with their investment, with their dollars, basically.
Yeah. And even if the transparency doesn't go down, something that I've experienced is, let's say all the data is accurate, the way that it's presented to you isn't exactly like just because they counted your impressions accurately doesn't mean those impressions were valuable. Like and that's where I think your tool really provides a ton of value is if being accurate in measurement, being accurate in counting doesn't necessarily translate to did that contribute to my outcome? Was that where I needed to be in that moment for that user? And the power in Scibids is really all about the quality of the delivery. And that is something I feel like a lot of, the networks and publishers are not always super forthcoming on.
Yeah. So it's not only about them being forthcoming or not. They don't have access to all the information, So advertisers, each of them have their own way to measure success. That's their secret sauce. That's how they measure the impact of the investment. And when you see what happened in DV360 or in Trade Desk or in Xandr and all those players, they recognize that there is a need for enhanced customization. They created, and I mean, DV360 is Google, so they recognize this need for customization. They created APIs, custom bidding opportunities and stuff, so advertisers could actually build stuff that represents them better directly inside the bidder. So they provide those tools. The problem is that it's a sophisticated market. It's a complicated market. So using those tools at the best of its power is not always easy, and that's something that Scibids helps a lot with. So we remove the complexity of it because we take care of managing those tools. We simply need to understand exactly what is the outcome expected by the advertisers, and then we are in charge of leveraging all the advanced tools that they create. I don't think that they're gonna remove those customization elements. Advertisers want it, and it's important also for them to stay competitive. Them being the publishers, they need to stay competitive regardless. And offering some customization levers is something which is going to be important. Where there is a world of opportunity is, you know, cross-channel measurement. This is exactly the world Rockerbox is in. And this is really important because it creates consistency in the way you evaluate the ROAS of your media in each of those channels. This is paramount if you want to have a consistent buying strategy.
I love that. Well, we are at time, and this has been a very informative conversation. If marketers who want to get more out of their investment are interested in learning more about Scibids, Rockerbox, and the entire DoubleVerify solution set, where can they find you?
So I sit in Madrid, so they can always come to me with. I'll welcome them with a good caña and good jamon because we do it perfectly here. And otherwise, doubleverify.com, I would say.
Well, yeah, and you can always Google it. Google DoubleVerify, visit the website. You can also find,
Go to Spain, and
yeah,
that's it.
Well, I definitely am going to come to Spain.
Well, you're welcome. Here you are.
It's been really great having you on the podcast. Thank you so much for your time and sharing your insight. And
Thank you so much for having me, Tessa. And yeah, well, let me know when you're coming around. Be careful. July and August tend to be very warm, so aim for September.
all right. Well, and for listeners who are also interested in hearing more episodes of Leader Generation, including the episode we're going to record live from Madrid in September, you can, you can find those episodes at modapp.com. It's MODOP.com. Click on podcast or search for us on wherever you listen to your podcast, Apple or other channels. And that is it. Until next time, enjoy the rest of the week.
Thank you very much.